Valerie Whitty, Andrew Lloyd, Quentin Morley, Zeph Nakubi. They are going to be the ones to keep your eye on at the head of the field. They're away in the 1983 Sun City2Surf, and look at the surge down William Street.
I think some of them are going a bit fast, Gary. I don't think they'll keep this up.
Well, there's a tremendous amount of jockeying for position in this early stages on that downhill run down William Street. And of course the top contenders really are desperate at this stage to try and avoid, if I can phrase it this way, the enthusiastic amateurs immediately behind them.
They certainly are. Last year Steve Austin fell early in the race and didn't recover for 10 or 15 seconds. He managed to get back up there and win, but it is a dangerous stage. Well, it's a bit hard to pick out the leaders at the moment. I think what we'll find is that as they come through the tunnel and emerge out the other side, we'll then start to pick out a leading bunch and be able to give you names to a few of them.
Well, not only that, once they get through the King's Cross Tunnel, we'll also be able to pick up again Gary Carr, who is travelling ahead of the field. So once they get through the tunnel, we'll be able to pick him up and he'll be able to give us a clear indication of the top 2 or 3 runners in the field at least. Now, the hill bottoms out and they start the incline up towards the King's Cross Tunnel.
We can see here a few runners taking shirts off. They're probably runners who've come in from the side streets. A few do this and cover their numbers with some apparel. They won't be among the leaders almost certainly for long, but they're going to confuse the issue for the next minute or two.
Now we get a clearer view.
All right, up front here, Nakubi's in front, leading from David Forbes, the state 1500 metre and mile champion. We now get a view of Andrew Lloyd, prolific winner of fun runs, just back from a honeymoon in America, but obviously done a bit of training while on that honeymoon. He's leading. The second runner, I think, is Lindsay Burgoyne from Victoria, but we'll have to wait to see him to catch the number. Definitely Nakubi there in third place, followed by state mile champion David Forbes.
Man in second place, you mentioned Burgoyne. He finished third in the Australian 10,000 metre championships behind Steve Austin.
That's right. Austin was first, Nakubi second, and Burgoyne third. Burgoyne's from Ballarat, and in fact Ballarat has 3 of the top 20 or so runners here today. It's interesting that that town of less than 100,000 people has been able to achieve that.
So Nkubi really is the man with the form on the board. Second in the 10,000 metres, winner of the 5,000 metres, and that big winner in the cross-country title as well.
Well, he won the ACT cross-country, beating Nick Digitised and Derek Froud, but he got beaten in the Victorian title by Steve Moneghetti, the 20-year-old Victorian coached by Chris Wardlaw.
It was claimed that Moneghetti took 20 seconds off Rob Digitised record for the Victorian cross-country title. Do you believe that?
Well, I'm afraid I don't think Moneghetti's that good. I've got a feeling the leading bunch might have taken a wrong turn in that race. Nonetheless, he beat Nakubi by 30 seconds and they all ran the same course, so his form's good.
Now, here we go. All the top runners are through the King's Cross Tunnel and the first of the main body now surging into the darkness by the Hyatt Kingsgate Hotel, and look at that streaming back down William Street all the way back to Hyde Park and Park Street. Some people electing, perhaps because they're claustrophobic or because they're too impatient, not to go through the tunnel but take the route over the top.
Probably scared of being tripped and squashed, I think. There's a strong possibility of that at this stage of the race.
More than 1,500 officials, as I mentioned, and now you can see from the Channel 7 chopper the scene as people stream out of the tunnel down Rushcutters Bay and up the start of yet another hill, and the first of many, but not yet the biggest.
Andrew Lloyd still in front. He's won just about every fun run in Sydney, the Sutherland-to-Surf, probably the next biggest after the City2Surf. He's the course record holder there. He's never won the City2Surf. Back in 1981, he went out with Rob Digitised, held on to about the Rose Bay section of the course and blew up and finished 10th.
Still this massive humanity. Just the sound, just have a listen to it.
They're just getting started up the back there, Gary. I was asked yesterday how long it took the last runner to get started, and it looks as though it's going to be round the 10-minute mark.
Well, here's the leading group, the leading 4.
How does Forbes look to you, Gary? he looks to be straining a bit from here.
Yeah, I think he's going to find the going tough once they start to head up that big hill. Where's a good place for the front runner to make his break? On the way up the hill, or does he wait until he gets to the crest and then sprint?
It really depends on whether they're a good hill runner or not. A track runner like Nakubi may make his break along the flat here. There's no question that if Deek was running, he'd be looking for that big hill to make his break on, but they could go anywhere.
Let's get the scene now from Steve Rebellion. Where are you, Steve?
Yes, Gary, Nkubi tucked in there in 4th position. Looks like Brian Lurie in 3rd. They look very strong running along this flat stretch. I guess that really they'd be gathering their strength, though, for the big assault on Heartbreak Hill, because they're just cruising along this flat stretch looking very comfortable indeed. They've cleared out about 50 metres ahead of a group of 3 and then another group of 2, all looking very strong, Gary.
You know, there are big contingents of runners here especially from New Zealand, hundreds. A big group, 20 or 30 runners from Japan, some runners from the United States. Halfway now for the leading runners in the 1983 Sun City2Surf. And Andrew Lloyd still there, in fact, appears to have opened up a break again. All right, well, let's find out what's happening on the ground with Gary Carr.
I must say I'm very impressed with the determined manner in which Andrew Lloyd is attacking this Sun City2Surf. He's never won the race, but he could correct that record today. He's really attacking this hill, and this is what he has to do. Now, he's not renowned as a strong runner on hill sections particularly. He's a good all-round runner. But today he's really attacked this Rose Bay, this dreaded Heartbreak Hill just outside of the Rose Bay Shopping Centre, and he's dropped the field right behind him. You can see Nakubi has dropped back to 2nd place, and David Forbes is also feeling the pressure now. Andrew Lloyd is also using the road very well, in my opinion. He's crisscrossing the road, saving every inch of ground, and this is what he has to do, because he has to get a break on the field on Heartbreak Hill. I remember 2 years ago when Robert Di Castello did the very same thing. Of course, Andrew's not in the class of Robert Di Castello when it comes to attacking hills, but that was where Di Castello absolutely blitzed the field 2 years ago and set that record, which still stands.
Okay, Gary, while we're in your vicinity, we just might check what's happening in the area with Strathgordon.
Well, welcome to the top of Heartbreak Hill, the very most difficult section of this City2Surf course. And as we look around now, we'll see the leading runners come into view any moment. The police escorts, a barrage of press here, of course. And the police are keeping everyone very clear of the road here. And here comes Andrew Lloyd, the 23-year-old New South Wales runner. He's looking quite good at the moment. He's won 3 big M marathons. And this really is tough for anyone, not just your fun runners, but your top runners. It's a tough section of the course. We go back to the field, and there we have Zephan Kubi, the Zimbabwean runner from the New South Wales Institute of, the Australian Institute of Sport, and he's looking good. He's about 40 metres back there from Andrew Lloyd, and he's looking quite good at this stage. A lot of people have tipped Nkubi to do well. Coming back further in the field now, there's Quentin Morley, the New South Wales cross-country champion, and a few other runners. So there's a leading group of about 6 runners. Back to you, Gary.
Thank you, Strath. Well, Lurie is the first of the top contenders to pay the penalty, paid the price.
Yes, well, he's gone at the hill, and I don't think we'll see too much more of Lurie. The big question here, we've seen Nakubi has moved past Forbes into 2nd place. Is he going to be able to close that gap to Lloyd? No, Forbes in front of Nakubi again.
Remember, of course, that we're looking at the leading division, the outright contenders in the 1983 Sun City2Surf. Behind them, trailing out, there we are, back down through Rose Bay, Double Bay, all the way back through Rushcutters Bay and back to King's Cross, in fact. Thousands upon thousands of people who are out to prove that they can run the distance. The time, in fact, is not important, although they'd like to beat whatever it was they posted last year, if only by a few seconds. But it's a superb day, it's a superb event, it's a great community event. The Sun City2Surf, 13 years, from 1,600 runners at the beginning to about 30,000 runners today. Now this is these are the more serious enthusiasts, I would say, that fancy themselves as fun runners until they get to the top of this hill.
These are runners who are going to run somewhere in the 50-minute range, so they're runners who've done a bit of training.
Look at that very nice lady there with the hose. A quick squirt to cool down, and very welcome. You saw a State Bank runner go through there. Pretty welcome on a very, very hot day like this.
I think that drink station will be welcome at this stage too. A number of runners taking the cups as they go past. Difficult to drink on the run. The top runners tend to carry a squeeze bottle with them with a tube that goes into the mouth, but these people have to make do as best they can.
Huff and puff. It's hot work. It's hard work. And here you're running against yourself and against the clock. For those people that ran last year seeking a better time, and for the first time runners, well, if they're up here with this group for their first time out, they're doing pretty well and they're feeling pretty pleased with themselves.
Well, this is one of the interesting things about fun runs, Gary. There's only going to be one winner, but 30,000 other people seem to get some pleasure from it, and many of them competitive pleasure, and I think for most of them it's a matter of trying to improve on their previous best.
Well, here's some of our more dedicated fun runners. How heavy are the packs, boys?
Oh, heavy. Heavy.
You do this every year, do you?
Nah, it's my first year.
And you reckon you last?
Yeah, I'll last.
Well, Kubi has made the big break now, away from Forbes.
And chasing Lloyd. He's very close, isn't he?
Forbes is clinging on, though. You've got to give him credit. But
It's difficult to tell from this shot just what the yardage is between them. I guess Nakubi's still 20 metres back, but...
Well, we might be able to get a better idea because from Gary Carr, because he's right on the spot. What's the distance there, Gary?
Yes, it's about 30 metres, Wilco, and this is a spectacular part of the race because to our right you can get a magic view of Sydney Harbour, but Andrew Lloyd, of course, is not interested in the view at the moment. Andrew Lloyd, I think, is going to win this race. There's no shadow of a doubt now because he attacked the last hill about 1 kilometre back very strongly, and he has not allowed Nakubi to make up any ground on him whatsoever. Nakubi has simply dropped Forbes, of course. He's dropped right back, and so it's really a race between these two, but Andrew Lloyd looking very strong and very determined, and at the bottom of this long flat section he will actually get his first glimpse during this race of the Bondi Beach finishing area, so he can see victory in sight, so to speak, and I don't think that Nakubi is going to be able to run him down from here. About 3.5 kilometres to go, and it's all a steep downhill section from here on, and Andrew Lloyd looking very strong.
Right, for those people that know the area, just passing the Lyons Road intersection in Military Road, coming down for the left-hand turn, and then another sharp right, and this is where runners in about the next 200 metres will get their first view of the sea.
We can see now that some of our fun runners are beginning to feel the pinch of Heartbreak Hill. Many of them have slowed down to a walk. Some have slowed down altogether, but it's really great to see them. Those people who put so much effort and time into preparing for this City2Surf, and here they are doing their best up Heartbreak Hill. Many of them, of course, taking advantage of the Staminade stand, some 15,000 cups of Staminade. Some want it, some don't. The leading runners, of course, were content to go straight through, but I think we've seen a lot of people now who are quite happy to see that cup of Staminade. Back to you, Gary.
Thank you, Strath. We mentioned the people that go out there and run times of 2.5 hours or 3 hours. Terry, you've got to admire the handicapped runners, the people in wheelchairs, the people on crutches that, in fact, are not even going to bother, I don't suppose, to record a time. It's just completing the course that's important.
Yeah, they obviously find it a great challenge and very satisfying because they keep coming back year after year. And as you say, you have to admire their heart, I guess, their spirit.
G'day, mate. How'd you find the hill?
Ah, exhausting.
Exhausting?
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've done it?
No, the second. I'm trying to beat my time this time.
So how do you think you're going?
Ah, I think I'm going good, but I'm paying the penalty.
Are you going to come back next year?
For sure.
Good on you. Good luck.
The shuffle of 60,000 joggers, I'm talking about shoes, not people, as this large group head to the top of the hill, and they're not so far behind the front-ranked contenders in terms of distance on the road, because once they get to the finish, Andrew Lloyd and whoever might finish around him are going to leave them long behind. Getting down to the serious end of the business now for this man, Andrew Lloyd, who continues to lead the race from Zeph and Kubi. But Terry Dwyer, where are Laurie Whitty, Steve Moneghetti, Nick Dicostello?
Where are they?
Yeah.
We haven't seen them at all. Whitty particularly, I'm wondering whether Whitty even started. Whitty should have been up there at some stage. Nick Dicostello, I guess he's back there in the bunch somewhere. We haven't seen him. And Moneghetti, well, I guess he never got out at the speed that the leading runners were running at.
Finish line is not quite in sight, but it's not far away for this man, is it, Gary Carr?
No, Gary, just about 1 kilometre to go, and what a well-deserved victory it's going to be for Andrew Lloyd. A very determined race, a very cool and calculating race, and a very confident race too, because only once in the whole race have I seen him actually look over his shoulder. That was once back at Double Bay. He had a quick sideways glance at Nakubi. But I've been looking at the time too, and that's an interesting factor in this race. About 38 minutes on my clock. Of course, it could be a few seconds either way, and it's going to be pretty close to Rob Dicastella's record. A very impressive run indeed from Andrew Lloyd, though.
23 years of age and still got a lot of top-class running in front of him, hasn't he?
He certainly does. He's a boy from Manly, Warringah area, I believe, and as I said, a great talent. He moves very well, plenty of speed, a good kick. He runs a good 800 metres even on the track, and well, when he ran 28.16 for 10k in 1982 early, we thought there were big things ahead. He didn't come up for the Commonwealth Games, but this will be his biggest win so far.
Well, I hope that none of these people object to getting hosed down. I can't imagine that they would, and you can see there are a few there that have slowed to a walk. Not so Andrew Lloyd.
Just looking at the times over the last 5 years, Gary, the fastest time, of course, is Dicastella's 40.08. The second fastest was Austin's last year, 41.42. It will be interesting to see where Lloyd rates in relation to those two times.
Tremendous hand, Gary Carr, for Andrew Lloyd at this point as he gets down towards the finish.
It looks like it's all over, doesn't it? He's good on those downhills. And he wasn't too bad on the uphills today either.
Well, that was where he made the big break.
Yeah.
They came to Vaucluse Hill, that 1.5 kilometres, the steep uphill, the killer on this course. And at the bottom of the hill, Lloyd said, I'm away. He dropped off Forbes, he dropped off Nkubi. Nkubi tried to go with him up the hill. But as you can see now, on the down, there he is, in fact, Nkubi just coming into view.
It'd have to be a big kick by Nakubi from here to pick Lloyd up, and I just can't see it happening.
Well, he's 100 metres astern. And there's the scene from the 7 chopper looking down on Bondi. What a great reception he's getting.
And he's lengthening that lead. Stretching
now,
right out in the run
takes
to
the
the
sharp
line.
left-hander. Well, goodness me, there's a surprise. The 1,500-metre runner who was up there when they came to the Vaucluse Hill, and we thought was going to fade out from there.
What a run by Forbes. Now, this will be a kick and a half. They're both very fast.
Back with the leader. The finish in sight. '23-year-old Sydney runner, Andrew Lloyd, 3-time winner of the Big M Marathon in Melbourne. Never previously a winner in the City2Surf. His name goes into the record books now. Andrew Lloyd, winner of the 1983 Sun City2Surf. Where's Forbes? And Nkubi has got him, has he?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yes, he's done it. He's out-sprinted Forbes to the finish line. But a gallant effort. He's all in, though. By gee, it's taken a heavy toll on him. The one-time Victorian dominance is no more.
New South Wales victory. First in close to 10 years.
Andrew Lloyd from Sydney, the winner. Zeph Nkubi from Zimbabwe taking second place, and David Forbes from Newcastle third.
Well, a very happy and a very exultant, in fact, I should say, Andrew Lloyd. Andy, you've never won this race before, but now, mate, you've come out and absolutely killed them.
Yeah, I'm real pleased. It's since about 8 years since New South Wales has gained the title.
Yes, those Victorians have been very hard to repel, haven't they?
Yeah, no, I was lucky this year. I hope someone else in New South Wales can win it next year.
Now, I must ask you this question. Have you uncovered a new training method? You've just come back from a honeymoon and you've come out and blitzed this field.
Yeah, oh, plenty of rest. A bit of training, not much hard stuff.
And have you received congratulations yet from your wife?
Yeah, she's gone. She's camera shy. She's already taken off.
After you've completed a course like this, if you're smart, even if you've done all your training and you are 100% fit, what's the cooling down process? I mean, you don't just go and flop on the grass and lie on your back, do you?
You'll find some of the runners will. Desirably, they would jog slowly or walk after the finish and try and get some fluid into them.
Well, I think
Help
that
cool off.
Andrew Lloyd has probably done that already, Let's find out what the situation is behind the finish line with Gary Carr.
The first runner home for the female section of the race, 24-year-old Rhonda Melander from Melbourne. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Thank you. It was really good to run. The people were really great. I've never run in anything where people barrack for you so much, you know.
Really? A Melbourne girl getting plenty of barrack?
Well, I've just in my form started to pick up this year, and like until recently, like I haven't never finished first in a really major race. So, besides, I've represented Australia twice in the World Cross Country, but and the closest I've ever had to barracking like this was in Italy, and the people just line the street, line the cross-country course.
Yes, congratulations, Rhonda. And there's a young man who deserves congratulations too in the wheelchair. Heading up this hill, somebody will give him a hand for sure to get to the top. And people streaming through. It's going to be a long time before some of them finish. They'll still be going after you and I have had lunch. So, the race for us is over for 1983. Certainly it's over for Andrew Lloyd, the winner, Zeph and Kubi, who took second place, David Forbes third, and for Rhonda Melander, who finished the first woman across the line.
We trust you enjoyed the 1983 Sun City to Surf, and now we have pleasure in presenting to you highlights of the 1981 Sun City to Surf, featuring that classic record win of Robert Deek.
Oh, the fastest will win, as usual.
Did you go in it last year?
No, we didn't go in it, but we're the same standard as the soldiers last year.
So you guys are all with the Navy. You're going to be competing against the Army too.
Oh, all the time.
Anybody that's there, really.
Yes, I really love it. I do it for fitness and also to get the weight off.
Just for fun, that's all.
It's a long way to go.
I've been training for it.
What sort of training have you been doing?
Basically pushing around.
We solve the world's problems every day as we run, and it's just great fun.
I've never been so out of condition in all my life.
Have you done this race before?
Yeah, I did it last year with my mum and my brother and my sister.
How'd you get on?
Well, we were kind of in front at the back.
We're in a team too, just for the competitive fun.
Mrs. Menzies, I understand you encourage Karen with her running.
Yes, running's very good for her lung condition. She has cystic fibrosis, and the running really helps that. And it's very important because she has to live from day to day, keeping herself really well.
Do you think you will make the finish line?
Yes, I'll make it.
Doesn't matter if I'm last, so long as it's in the time, but I wouldn't mind being second last.
This has got to be the greatest show on earth. There are more than 23,000 people down there, bound together by a unique experience, an atmosphere of excitement, of friendship, achievement, and most of all, fun. It's called the Sun City to Surf, and no single event has captured the imagination of Sydney people so completely as this annual journey. For some, it's a serious contest. Superb athletes matched against an unforgiving clock and the winding harbourside hills of a beautiful city. Robert de Castella, Olympic marathoner and winner of the Great Sun Run in '77. Already he's drawing ahead of the leaders. The Army. Each year, more teams are entered from regiments all over the country. And they'll travel the 14 kilometres in everything from T-shirts and joggers to boots and battle order. Let Rob de Castella give the girls a thrill. He's got the race wrapped up anyway. For the leader, the race is nearly over. But hang on, is this a late challenge from a new running star? More Good Samaritans bearing buckets. A wink from Dad. A dignified trot up the final hill. And a few light years away, Rob de Castella of Canberra flies across the finish line as though it's 14 kilometre for a 100-yard dash. A new record of 40.08 minutes.
You have to say it's been a breeze for you.
Well, it's a pretty funny run because so much of the last half of it's downhill. It's a little bit hard to, really force yourself, especially if you haven't got any competition. It makes it a bit tough.
Second home, a minute and a half later, comes John Andrews of Borkham Hills. With last year's winner, Victoria's Tim O'Shaughnessy, a courageous third. The best run by a woman as New Zealander Alison Rowe comes home.
You look in a remarkable condition for someone who's just run that distance.
I'm used to it. I train for distance running, so my body's conditioned to it.
And still they come, streaming down the final stretch to the best-known beach in the world, Bondi. And you get your official time as soon as you pass through the gates. For some, a cause for rejoicing. For others, better luck next time. For all, a rare feeling of achievement summed up by those little car window stickers the Sun gives out each year saying, I made it. I succeeded. I finished.